No one can prepare you for the movie X. This is A24's brand new bloody homage to the old school grindhouse and video nasty films. If you're into those type of movies, this is going to be for you. If you're not, then be prepared. This is probably not going to be in your wheelhouse. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing A24's X. This is directed and written by Ty West, starring the likes of Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi, and Martin Henderson. And this is about, in the 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make the best adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast finds themselves fighting for their lives. The film just premiered at South by Southwest to a lot of rave, which actually started to get me a little bit more excited for it, because overall I was only interested in this movie because of Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega, two actresses that I'm a big fan of. And, you know, hearing that positive buzz, being someone that didn't really care to look at the trailers, this was just not an A24 movie really much grabbing my attention. But after that buzz came out, and then it was officially announced that they didn't just film this movie. They also filmed a prequel movie right afterwards, back to back, and they're planning on filming a sequel. This had me intrigued because A24, in my memory, has only done one other sequel, and that was for The Souvenir. So I had to think, are they trying to do a franchise with this thing? We'll say, put your expectations a little bit into that, because by the end, you can clearly see what a prequel can be, or definitely what a sequel would be. And it's intriguing in the reveal of that, but it's definitely not needed to be in there. Like, if for some reason we never got those two, it wouldn't really add much to it, but it intrigues me to see what they could possibly do next with the concept of this. Now, with that said, I was also expecting something a little bit different from hearing that news, and I think I really do need to get your expectations in check. This is not your straightforward horror movie. I've seen some critics saying, oh yeah, this is the most straightforward horror film A24 has made yet. No, I still think Hereditary and Midsommar might be even more accessible than this one, because like I mentioned in the beginning of my intro, this is a straight up homage to video nasties and grindhouse horror movies. In the likes, it even has a lot of homages to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So instead, there's a lot of sex and nudity in this, and tits and cock and all sorts of things like that.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But we're going to have a fun discussion down below in the comment section, because I do want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as leave a comment. Do you like A24 movies? Are you excited for X? Did you see this movie? Let's talk about it down there. Starting with my pros, something I do want to mention about X was something that I actually was surprised that the film had deeper themes than I was actually expecting. I thought this would be, again, a more straightforward kill these kids and kind of play around with that fun concept. Overall, though, it does have those, but there are a lot of themes in here. Some stuff about getting old, what that does to us, and in general, sex and lives and how it is popularized through so many different aspects of, say, religion, and how religion views it, adults view it, how teenagers view it, how generally different generations and different age groups look at sex. And I found it to be very interesting in there. And there's a lot more deeper themes in there that I feel like on more rewatches you might be able to gather and kind of come to formulate a little bit. And I was overall kind of surprised to see that X actually carried that in. And I really much didn't see that deeper themes until probably later down in the movie, where one particular moment, this really unique editing style kind of comes into here that Ty West creates. And while I don't think the moment was needed, and I think actually could have been cut out or maybe rewritten to be shown in a different style, it was sweet and emotional and weirdly weird. Something I can actually say is that the movie is just very off and uncomfortable and very weird. There are moments in here where you will sit there in disgust of what you were seeing on the screen, and it does keep you intrigued. Like, if you're watching this with a group of friends, I took my girlfriend to the press screening, and we were both oozing in the seat of like disgustingness. Like, we got a big bag of popcorn and we barely ate the damn thing. Still, support your local movie theaters with the popcorn, because if the popcorn's good, you should at least get some for you. Just save it for maybe the next day. And talking about Ty West's direction and writing in here, while I think it is intriguing how he was able to shoot this, and again, his visual style is actually some of the best that he's done inside his career, and honestly and arguably this is probably his best movie yet, I was satisfied, to say the least, with that. Was the acting in here. I mentioned how big of a fan I am of Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega's had a great year for horror so far. Studio 666, this, and Scream. she's amazing in this. Again, Mia Goth is fantastic, and I think this is absolutely probably one of my more favorite performances from her. It's very daring in some aspects, and it's just very fun. Like, she can do no wrong. She can honestly do everything. Like, I've seen her in so many different genres at this point, and horror, when she's in here, she has a lot of fun. You can definitely tell.
And something I didn't even find out till after I started editing the video was that Mia Goth plays the elderly lady in here. What?
Brittany Snow, who I've not seen in anything in a long while, is great as well, and I think a lot more people need to speak on Brittany Snow and how fantastic she is in here. Kid Cudi was actually a big surprise, and to be honest, maybe I'm just dumb. I knew he was in the movie, but it took me a couple of seconds to be like, oh shit, that's Kid Cudi. Martin Henderson is also fabulous as well. That's something, the performances really much elevate this type of horror film. And again, I was very surprised to see how grand they were in their acting and really much bringing this entire formula to life. Our fans are going to have fun because this is a very brutal movie. The kills, every single, I mean, really much I say this, every single one of them are some of the goriest kills and, like, bloodiest things I've seen in a while. I was like, holy shit, what are we getting here? I think that's where this movie might split a lot of fans. I think some of you might be coming to this movie being like, seriously, you like this movie? And I'm going to say that, yeah, I really like this. The more and more I think about this movie, the more and more I'm coming to appreciate it and like it. But I think horror fans, people who grew up with films like this, are going to adore it. In fact, there was a film last year called Censor that personally wasn't my cup of tea, but a lot of horror fanatics I know loved that movie, and I kind of see the same thing here. I think this is a better made movie than Censor, but again, I think this movie, like, horror fanatics are going to flip the fuck out about. It is, again, going to split the fan base. I think general movie-going audiences, some will really much come and hone into this if they did grow up with certain movies like that, and some who are expecting just more of a straight slasher film are probably going to walk away and be like, what the hell did I just watch? Typically what a lot of general movie-going audiences go away from A24 movies watching, but there's always you're gonna find that one day where you're like, oh shit, I get it. Because that's what happened to me. But I do want to get into some cons because, like I mentioned, while I really like this movie, I think there are a couple things that definitely hold this movie back from being perfection. And one of those things is the length. At almost an hour and 55 minutes, this movie, when I check the time, because sometimes I like to check the time, at an hour, I think an hour and 10 minutes, nothing had happened. No progression in the horror thing, and like it was just starting to happen. Like, it was uncomfortable and creepy beforehand, but finally something started happening. And I feel like that might actually break the mold for some people to actually get their intrigue within this. And I think that kind of just goes as far as say there were multiple scenes in here that I would have taken out or rewritten out or fixed in, and I understand the kind of vibe and aesthetic they were trying to go for, but this movie should have only been an hour and 20 minutes at most, and you still could have gotten the same themes, the same messages, the same kills, all sorts of things like that, and it would have really made no difference. I actually think it probably would have helped the pacing with the entire movie from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3. Even though I really love some of the reveals in Act 3, especially the finale one that makes me go, okay, I totally see where you're going to take this franchise next. Crazy to call, again, this movie a franchise, but it technically is. Even with that, it does make you think back to certain aspects of the movie that be like, okay, that is actually really intriguing. But then I could see 20 minutes of this movie cut out, and I would have been like, okay, I get it. As well as my other issue with the movie is a lot of tonal clashing. Sometimes it wants to be this fun slasher, horror, big gnarly movie, and then other times it kind of wants to be a little bit deeper with this dramatic avenue to it. And again, I like the themes of that, but I think there was a way to more mask those themes in there than certain things that maybe, again, took the pacing and took the tone away from what you were already establishing from the beginning. From the beginning of this movie, it does already pretty much feel like the setup for like something that Texas Chainsaw Massacre would have been made. And I was feeling that, and then it started shifting and changing, and it didn't completely take me out of my experience, but it definitely faltered some issues in there. Let's be honest, no one is actually ready for this movie. No matter what I said, your expectations are still going to be a little bit out there, and it's a throwback to old school video nasties, B-rated horror movies, and straight up grindhouse movies. Imagine Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with a lot more sex and porn stars all kind of getting into this. Ortega, Goth, and Snow, I thought absolutely stole the show, and I left intrigued with what the prequel and sequel will be. But I truly think A24 has another indie horror film on their radar that a lot of people are really going to appreciate, and I think a lot of you guys should actually support this one. Again, It's different than what I expected it to be, but in a good way, and I do like my horror when it's different and unique and homage to this purpose, and maybe even having deeper themes. I just wish the movie was shorter in its length with either a couple rewrites, and I wish the tones weren't clashing so much. I think there was a better way to bring that about, but other than that, I'm going to give the movie X a B+. Once again, guys, for watching this, you guys are really all the best. If you're interested in seeing movies early, head on over to Sandwich on Films as well for all sorts of movie news, reviews, and of course giveaways. Make sure as well to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below your guys' thoughts. What is your favorite A24 horror movie? Are you excited for X? Are you excited for the prequel and sequel if you've already seen the movie? Let's discuss it all down there. And of course, until next time, stay classy.